Hey coaches, this video is just to kind of go over all the Santa Fe Fall League information for 2022, the rules, the schedule, all that kind of stuff. And I'll also answer a couple of frequently asked questions that we get. So we'll just take off here. So um, the Santa Fe Fall League, this is the fifth year we've ran it, outside of 2020. We This year we'll have age groups of 10U, 13U, and high school. We're really trying to mirror a lot of what the Little League setup is now, obviously including high school. We are shooting for baseball and softball. We typically have only done baseball in the past, but we're really hopeful that we can get at least a couple of softball teams together so they can play as well. The dates of play that we're going to have, we have Sundays for the softball and for baseball 10U and 13U divisions. They'll all play on Sundays, and it'll be September 18th, September 25th, October 2nd, October 9th, October 23rd, and October 30th. And typically that last weekend, the 29th, 30th, we'll play our tournament, so we'll probably play Saturday and Sunday. So that's a heads up there. For the high school baseball division, the dates will be on Saturdays only, and this is because of the availabilities of the local schools fields that we're going to use. Now we do have availability to do some games on Sundays at Franklin Miles. So if teams can only play Sundays in the high school division, then we do have some options for that. So make sure you let me know if that's the only dates you can play. But if you can play Saturdays, which I'm hopeful everybody can, then we'll get to use the local high school fields, which are a lot better conditions. So the dates to play for the high school would be September 17th, September 24th, October 1st, October 8th, October 22nd, and October 29th. We won't do a tournament at the end of the high school season because the school systems does not let us use the fields on Sundays. So we can only do Saturdays. So we won't really have time to really get a good tournament in. So we'll just play double headers each of those days for the high school baseball division. Now, softball is included in the baseball 10U and baseball 13U. They're going to play Sundays, so we won't have that issue there. The insurance. So the insurance is $100 per team for high school. Then for the 13U and 10U, it's covered by Santa Fe Little League. For the registration fee, and now so this basically goes to managing all the scheduling of the teams, the fields, and all the general league activities, like setting up, the field, the bases, getting the mound set up, making sure all that kind of stuff's ready to go. That's 100 per team, and I typically put what a dollar amount would be per player next to that, so you can kind of get an idea. So if you have like 12, 13 kids, it'll be somewhere in the $8 to $10 range, so you get an idea of how much of the registration fee is going to come from each kid. For umpires, we do $30 per game for the 10U and the 13U. We have to charge 40, a little bit more for the high school division, so we can get high school umpires out there. Just so you guys know, there are times where we can only get one umpire for the games, especially in the fall. There's other sports going on. There's a lot of things happening that we don't always have two umpires per game. And for the most part, we're going to have 10 regular season games, unless any of the teams play a tournament or something and they can't play for a certain weekend. And then one to three playoff games. Obviously, for the high school baseball division, there's not going to be any playoff games, so it'll just be 12 games for them. And for the other groups, it'll be anywhere between 12 and 13, depending on how well they do in the tournament. So the total fees per team, just a quick rundown. The insurance is $100, and that's only for the high school divisions. Registration fee is $100. The umpires, it's $330 total for 10U and 13U teams, and this also includes softball. And then $440 for the high school teams for the high school baseball. Each team must also bring two balls to each game. They don't have to be perfect, but I want to put that in there. Just contribute to get two game balls. They can be slightly used or whatever, but make sure you bring them for your games. So basically the total per team, if you're a 10U or a 13U team or a high school or a softball team, I should say, then it's going to be $430 per team. If you're a high school baseball team, it's going to be $640. And really, remember, the difference between those two is pretty much the insurance and the slight increase in the umpires from 30 to 40 per game for the high school division. So for the high school, if you have 12 people on your roster, it'll be about $53 per player. So I'm going to bill all the coaches as a team, and then it's up to you to kind of collect from your team, however you want to do it. For 10U and 13U and softball, it'd be about $36 per player if you have a roster of 12. If you have 13 or 14, it'll be a little less. If you have, 10 or 11, it might be a little more. But that kind of gives you an idea of what the breakdown is, especially as you pick up players for your teams. Um, the game schedule, I'm going to try to finalize it on September 9th, for sure by the 10th, but I'm not going to take any new requests. I'm not going to take any teams dropping out or anything after the 9th at 5 p.m. And this is just to ensure that anybody who's in by then, that they're going to play, right? We don't want to make the schedule and then somebody drops out or they don't show up, right? If anybody decides to cancel after the schedule comes out, so after that 9th deadline at 5 p.m., then we're going to have to be charging them $60 per game canceled, because the schedule's already going to be there and it's going to be set. And if we have to cancel games and we can't shuffle it around so the other teams can still get the games that they paid for, then we're going to have to pay them for their games that they got canceled. So that's kind of how that works. So just please make sure you get all your stuff in by the 9th at 5 p.m. and we'll be good to go. If you have any special scheduling requests, please let me know by the 7th, which would be the Wednesday. Practices can be held at Regal and Franklin Miles during the week from 5 to 8 p.m. So if you have a high school team, or if you have a 10U or 13U team, you can go to those parks and you can use them. For the most part, too, you can find an open park and just go use it at any of the fields. I know that there's football and other things going on, but you should be able to find places to practice. But we definitely have those two parks for you guys to practice at. We are going to play Little League rules for the 10U and the 13U divisions. This is mostly just to try to stay consistent with the Little League Spring League that is in Santa Fe. So the only slight difference is we're going to go off the MLB Pitch Smart guidelines, which are, I think, a little bit easier to follow, real easy for everybody to know and be on the same page. But you just got to be real smart about the amount of pitching, and mostly what it's about is you don't want to have a kid throw 120 pitches, which no kid should throw that much really, but you don't want to have them throw a ton and then have them come out and then play catcher or something, right? You want to make sure you just keep an eye out on how they do it, and how much they're throwing and all that kind of stuff. For there's any bat allowed for 10U and 13U. You can use whatever bat. There's not really a restriction there. The umpires won't be checking. For high school, it has to be a BB core -3. It could be a wood bat as long as it's -3, but it has to be BB core certified. For the time limits, it's for 10U, it's 90-minute time limit. No new inning after that. There's a drop dead at 1 hour and 45 minutes. For 13U, it's a 1 hour and 45-minute time limit, no new inning, and there's a drop dead at 2 hours. And for high school, it's a 2-hour time limit, no new inning, drop dead at 2 hours and 15 minutes. So just to clarify, no inning can start after the no new inning time limit, but we will try to get as much of the game in until the drop dead happens. Now, if the drop dead happens, we'll finish the hitter and then we'll stop right there. This is mainly to make sure that we can get the rest of the games in. Some of the facilities that don't have lights, so we can't get behind too far, or we won't be able to make all the games up. The total team fee is due September 9th, and I'm not going to put you guys on the schedule until I know that everything is paid and that everybody's committed. The other thing is I would like to get just a list, a roster from everybody from their teams. So if you can just send me a quick roster, that will help. Other than that, there's really the pitch count chart here that I have, and essentially if you're basically 13 and under, you can't throw more than 75 in a day. If you throw more than that, there's different, or if you throw different tiers. So if you throw 21 to 35, there's 1 day rest, 35 to 52, and so on, right? So there's a regulation there. And with high school, it's only 95 pitches that are allowed in 1 day, and similar tiered system with, depending on how many you throw, is how many days of rest required. Now, we mostly play just once a week, so the days required isn't going to be that huge of a deal until maybe the tournament, but the maximum number of pitches, I think, is very important that we don't go over that. So 75 for 13U and under, and 95 for high school. One of the frequently asked questions that I get is what the age cutoff is. So the way we do our age cutoff is whatever the age was as of June 1st, 2022, that is the age they are eligible to play for the fall league. So even if a kid has maybe aged up one year or had their birthday since June 1st, they can still play with the age group that they were on June 1st. This is essentially just to encourage the kids that play spring league to be able to play in their same division for fall league. And it's a developmental league, so it allows us to be able to get everybody the reps that they need to get. I get asked a lot about the rules and rule interpretations. The number one thing to remember is that if you're a 13U or under team, we're going to follow Little League rules, right? Outside of the pitch count rules that I listed and the bat regulations that I don't really enforce, those are pretty much the only things that are going to be a lot different. Everything else is just going to go off the Little League rule book. So if you have any questions about it or if you don't know it, I would consult it. And that's what the umpires will be told that they're going off of. For the high school divisions, it'll go off of the NFHS rules, so the National Federation of High School Sports. So if you're confused or you don't know about that rule book, make sure you Google it and check it out. It's pretty easy to find, and you can find out all the rules there. Again, there's some slight modifications as far as our time limits that we set and things like that. But that's pretty much what we're going to fall to. So if it's not listed on the informational list in the rules, then it means it's either going to fall under Little League rules or under NFHS rules.